Oh my gosh. I'm I'm so nervous. I think this thing is also making me nervous, but I also what makes me as nervous as this. Welcome to the Do Over Diaries. Welcome. So, where do I even begin? I have been on a journey. Let me turn this off. I have been on a constant journey of inconsistency for probably the past couple of years now. And I have been in and out of my YouTube channel like electricity, my darling. Here today, gone tomorrow. And Pansy, inconsistency Pansy, because it has been insane. So, with that said, welcome to me giving myself a second chance. Hence why I'm calling this series the Do Over Diaries. Just because I think that I deserve just one last chance. But no, I believe in myself, and more than in believing in others and making sure that others kind of bring to life what they feel, what they do, and their talents and all of that. I have not done myself justice in doing the same, which is not too much of a bad thing. But in the long run, I have seen that I have put myself at a little bit of a disadvantage. And, I'm blaming nobody but myself, because I did have the opportunity to do this consistently and to speak my mind and to share my thoughts. And, I start a project and I struggle to finish it halfway through, whether it's imposter syndrome that comes through, whether it's mental health that comes through, or whether it's just life that just kind of happens. And I have never really focused on harnessing the art of getting back onto the horse, or the art of getting back into the swing of things, or the art of getting back up. With every setback, I never really channeled myself for the comeback. And even if I do come back, it's in the privacy of my own mind. Even when people tell me that, oh, you've come back, or oh, you're doing this, and it's nice to see you up and about again, I don't really see it. And so a lot has happened to date. I the past 2 or 3 videos were really a similar style to this, I guess, because I always come back here after a major event. I think the second last time I was on here, I had recovered from COVID, and I had recovered from my first COVID. And then I think I might have actually done a video on my second COVID, because there I nearly did really, really die. But I think my very last one would have been when I was moving, and I was talking about, what that move meant, because I was kind of packing my life up a bit, or compressing my life from coming from living with my wife. If you don't know who my wife is, pause this video, go back to the very beginning and check it out. But my wife being my cousin, sister, confidant, from living with them and then going on and then living by myself. And I lived by myself in that area and in that house for a while before eventually deciding to move into a smaller place and a little bit more central and kind of closer to home and closer to a few other people, closer to church even. And I made that decision, and I remember I had so many dreams and aspirations, if you must, for that place, and just kind of how I wanted to live there, and how I wanted to do things, and how I wanted to live, and how just like all these things that I had thought that I was going to do. I had all these plans because I was going to live by myself. So I had all these plans. It was a 2-bed, and one would be my bedroom and the other would be the office. And I went in, and it was nice and smooth. I've been fortunate enough that wherever I have moved to ever since moving out of home, the place has been brand new. So I'm very grateful for that. And even with this might be my last move, but I'll get to that in just a moment. But I actually really, really enjoy moving into a place for the first time. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. Not that, the place wouldn't be cleaned up nicely or whatever, but I'm just so scared in living where somebody else has lived. Just weird things that we have and that we go through. And so I moved, and I had planned to do so much content, and I would have done a video here or two. Oh no, here or two. Hey, it is the evening, so the English might be a little bit running low, but no, I think I might have done a video here and there, a few TikToks, but never really anything in depth how I had planned to kind of reintroduce myself as now this living alone and just taking on the world. And there were a lot of leaps of faith that I took in moving there, because I actually left 9 to 5 when I moved there, so that was a very brave move, honestly, by the grace of God, really, because you can understand being a person who's always lived on a salary, and you kind of know that you're expecting money, or you kind of know what you're about to do and where you need to be, and then all of a sudden you are now that person that needs to put together things for people. And it was the scariest thing, but it was also one of the most exciting things that I did do. So I did that, and I moved, and it was amazing. Within about a year of moving there was a major development. Before moving there, I had lost my sister. I think actually that's part of what I was talking about in the videos before moving. And I'd lost my sister, and it was very sudden, and it was very scary. It was the first time losing a very close sibling kind of person. And I say sibling kind of because if you know that I'm just two biological children to myself and my brother. So everybody else, immediate cousins, are my brothers and sisters because we were raised that way. And so when I lost, my sister, and it really rocked us to the core, and I felt really, really, really lost, because I think I was with her not long before she passed, and she was going through a lot. She had lost her husband almost 6 months after they got married, and she had a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old at the time, and it was crazy. Well, 12, 13-year-old, and it was just a crazy time, and it was very, very triggering. Her story was so similar to my mom's, because she was the same age that my mom was when my mom lost my dad, and her son was the same age that I was when my dad died. So it was very, very triggering and very, very hard. Fast forward then to when I now move. It's about a year and a half. It's not even a year, just about a couple of months after. And her daughter was having a little bit of challenges, and she came over to visit, just to kind of catch some fresh air and just kind of reset and rejuvenate, if you must. And ended up asking me to come and live with me. And then I didn't even flinch, I thought, the thing is, when she mentioned it, it wasn't even like that she officially asked me. Like, I kept thinking about it, and I thought, wow, it has taken me an awful long time to be a mom. Maybe this is it. And it didn't even really it didn't scare me. It wasn't a daunting thought to me. I thought, I have the resources. Modimo is obviously saying something, and why not? So I went and I asked, my aunt. I said, I'll do it. I'll take her. And boom, instant mom. Ciao. When I tell you, I had to transform my whole entire life. changed everything. I was like, okay, I'll double my room as my office, and then, my daughter will have her room and she'll have a desk in there, and we just did a whole mom and daughter thing. It was so incredibly cute. And it was quite a wild run, because as you can imagine, being a mother is not easy. But I was very, very grateful. I had a beautiful and amazing circle around me. But life as we know it is never really, really guaranteed. So, hey, the details are very far and widespread. But the long and short of it is that my daughter then ended up moving back to her grandmother's house, which kind of took a really, really, really hectic toll on me. Excuse me. And I didn't really think about it until maybe 2 or 3 months after she had moved out, and it was quite the experience in terms of mentally. I didn't know how to process it. I wasn't sure if I had done anything wrong, and it was just a lot of things. That's why the details are just a little bit too far spread. And then I without realizing, I slipped into this loneliness, and a lot of things around me were just there to kind of cover me and keep me distracted and keep me busy, which I was super grateful for, because then I entered a pageant, darling. Hey, us, the things that we do. And I think, it came at the right time, because I had my business that was really doing, it was taking off. For the first time I had a PA. It was exciting. And I was working a really good job at the same time. So I was really, really out there. And a lot of this, though, I had set it up in like thinking about the fact that I've got now a daughter. I need to do things. I need to multiply myself. I need to multiply income. I need to multiply resources, all of this stuff. Because I know the kind of life that my sister would have set up for her daughter, and I wanted to make sure that I hit the nail on the head, and I would give her the life that I would give my own daughter. So I really, really spread myself far and wide in a very positive sense. Anyway, so I was gonna say pause, but I don't know what's the equivalent of of pause for females. Or is pause just count? Anyway, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, so the pageant was very, very exciting. The pageant is called Miss SA Plus World. I found it on Instagram, actually. A friend of mine that we were models with at Boss Models actually sent it to me, and she's like, hey, check it out. But by the time I checked it out, COVID had hit and things slowed down and whatever. So when it picked up again, I thought, oh, okay. So I did that, and that was extremely exciting. I was in my element, and it just goes to show that there's so much that can happen. So upstairs from me, I like living. I don't necessarily like ground floor. I like ground floor because it has garden. Side note. I like ground floor because it has the garden and stuff like that. But I also really, really dislike ground floor because people can walk past your door. So I like to live in the very first above ground floor. The disadvantage of that is you never know who's gonna move in up here. So the people that are living above me right now are me in my future life, me and my many children, just living our best lives, the kids running around. Anyway, I'm just saying that because I'm distracted. You might not hear them, but there's a lot of noise. Anyway, so the pageant was really, really exciting, and the pageant was an amazing experience. And I had a team of women that just rallied around me, that just sacrificed their times and their lives and their just everything just to give me their all, which was an extremely beautiful experience. In a very strange way, I felt so overwhelmed. I felt so overwhelmed because I've always been a person that I've had people that will do a lot for me and that have done a lot for me and that I'll forever be grateful for. But in that moment, I felt so responsible. I thought whenever they would do something, I immediately would start to think about, I need to find a way to repay that. I need to find a way to give that back. I need to find a way to make up for that time. I need to find, every time. I could never just be in the moment and just kind of like taking it in. And I'd never really experienced that to that extreme. And I realized, so go to the pageant. I did do a video. I am so lost in my content. Hey, don't hate me, y'all. It's been a hectic time. So, so we go to the pageant. We come back, and ambassador, and it is an amazing once in a lifetime experience. I can't process. I'm not able to process that. I'm here, but I'm not here, and I hear what everybody's saying, and I can tell, and I immediately just I do this. Especially when it comes to the content, I just do this, and there are so many things surrounding everything that I will eventually touch on. I think as we get through the journey of the Do-Over Diaries, and I just start doing this, and a big part of it came in. Like I noticed it obviously because of the pageant, because I had so many dreams and so many plans, and even when we were having the conversations with the pageant directors, you know, they had a vision for me specifically and what I was going to do for the pageant and all of that, and it was such a painful experience because I couldn't get myself motivated enough. Obviously I had work, but work wasn't distracting me enough to get out of there, but I just couldn't plug in, which was so weird. And my team continued around me, and obviously after the pageant, because we had spent so much time on the pageant, it was time to then focus on work and focus on, you know, the company again, and all of the stuff that we were going to do, because now, and I, you know, kind of had that responsibility, and I could not for the life of me tap back in. And, you know, I would do a thing here and there, and they were, because after the pageant I had a lot of like interviews set up. We were going around, you know, chatting to people, talking about the pageant, what it meant, and all of that stuff. And it was so hard, and it was so difficult because I just kept going down, and I couldn't understand it. And I could try and plug it in with like the rest of my life, and you know, work stress and home stress and church stress and whatever kind of relationship stress and all of those kind of factors that played into it. But I couldn't really find the source of it, and sometimes I would and sometimes I wouldn't. But whenever I would find it, it would be such a deep process that it would take me way too long to get out of it, and so I just shut it off. I just thought, nah, no, I'm not going to distract myself. Let me focus and do on things that are just kind of surface level, because once I get into like the deeper stuff, it's not going to go well. So fast forward to now, a lot of stuff happened, a lot of relationship things happened, a lot of friendship stuff happened, a lot of family things happened, because as you know, obviously, for one, I'm not a mom anymore. I mean, I am a mom. You know, I'm never going to stop being a mom to my daughter and my other nieces and stuff like that. And so I'll never stop. But obviously that in its very physical form kind of changed. And so that changed my life completely. And then a lot of relationship doing this, all in just an effort of trying to kind of find myself again, kind of center myself. And it wasn't that I needed to be in a relationship. I almost needed validation. My circle, my very immediate circle, had validated me propofol. Like there was nothing else that they could say to me that could they had said everything to me basically, and I believed everything, and they validated me, and they encouraged me, and they affirmed me constantly. But I was in my head. I was in my head, and then I had a really terrible experience with a relationship. Hey, I mean, we call them that these days, but for the respect of the person, I suppose that's what it was. And what that thing did was so huge because it pulled me out of the confidence that I had built over the years. If you know me, you'll know that, it took a while to get to a confident place in my body, in myself, in my mind, in my beauty, in my looks, everything. Until I was about 26, I never really felt super beautiful. I found my matric pictures the other day. Habe! Hey! Child, I looked. Phew. And I just, and I think to myself, sure, and I could tell that I could have made an effort, but I just wasn't even in the space. I wasn't locked in enough. Like, there was not much you could say to me to tell me that I'm pretty and stuff like that. I was just gliding through life. Like, I wasn't living through it and experiencing it and whatever. I just wasn't that person. I wore the same clothes for many years. That's still a little bit of a problem because I don't know how to dress, and I just didn't know how to dress for my body. I didn't know what was comfortable, what was in style, and all of that. And so until I was about 26 years old, I swear I was not feeling beautiful. Not the sad part, but the part that sometimes is frustrating is that what made me feel beautiful was a dude. Tell me why I needed that for me to make me feel beautiful. And it wasn't even so much so, but I think the only thing I can say I enjoyed about that process is that when that happened and I was no longer in that situation, I decided to take, when you take those body revenges, I hit the gym. I was thin in my standards, okay? So don't go looking at my social media and be like, yo, you ain't never been thin. In my standards, I finished my body. I was in the gym 5-6 a.m. just working it. And I think a lot of it was obviously triggered by the fact that he liked me, he was with me, and then he just left for like a petite lady. Like, guys, I don't even know, the petitest of ladies. And yes, it rocked me, and I thought, I thought I was beautiful. But after that, I turned things around, and once I got over the whole revenge body thing, I actually enjoyed the confidence. And then I was like, okay, let me stick with this, because this I can work with. And so even after then, when I gained a little bit of weight and stuff like that, I was okay with that, because I was still within my limits. I was still healthy. But I was just happy, and I was just confident. So I was completely fine with that. But it was such a long road. And then I went, and then I think my confidence obviously then skyrocketed even more when I was traveling, because as you know, when you're traveling, nobody cares about the shorts. You're not gonna like turn heads like, whoa, look at that plus size woman over there wearing a bikini. You're not. People are just gonna be like, okay, there goes a woman wearing a bikini, because where are we? At the beach. There's no, and there it kind of changed my perception a little bit, because for me, I wasn't that exposed to that side of the world. And I know that, there's been plus size women in this country that have been pioneering this for a very long time, but I was never exposed to that, because in my mind it wasn't even a thing. I just thought, for me, that I just need to lose weight. I need to stay here and just be here, and this is what's gonna be okay, and this is just what it is. And so by the time I get there and I get a little bit exposed and I, now start to do things and I now start to experience and whatever, by the time I came home, child, you couldn't tell me nothing. You could not tell me a single thing. To this day, my mother still freaks out about like how confident I am, and she'll be like, "What's up, crop top?" Like, she's just kind of like trying to get used to it and all of that stuff. But I just think, whoa. But anyway, so fast forward to this experience that pulled me out and made me feel so little and made me feel so ugly. Like, and I think after having the conversation with the person and obviously kind of understanding where each of us were coming from with that whole thing, it was interesting to hear how a person doesn't really, without you explicitly saying, that hurts my feelings, sometimes a person can't know. Or without you saying, I don't like the way you say that, that person can't know. Or without a person saying, you look really beautiful today, then that person can't know that you desperately need that, or you need to hear that to to kind of feel validated or whatever it is. Even if you tell yourself that you're beautiful, it's nice to hear once in a while that you're beautiful. So I broke down and I was not myself. I didn't want to take pictures. The whole ambassador, by the way, still ambassador, this is after the pageant, and I was in pieces. And the first person to notice was actually my wife, my friend, my sister, my puppy. She's the one that said, "Are you okay?" She's like, "You don't want to take a picture?" And she was just like, "I don't know. This you're weird." And I was so self-conscious about what I was wearing and my stomach and my fupa and my this and my that. And it was all just never a thing for me for the longest time. And it took so long to kind of get me out of that funk and back into, the game and get my head back into the game to say, okay, since when have you ever been ugly? And. So it's been a ride. It has been a crazy, crazy, crazy ride. But the reason I know I just said a whole long-winded thing, but it touches on some of the different elements that I'm going to be touching on in the series that I hope will help me and will help even just one other person. That in everything, we are so fortunate to still be on this side to get to do a do-over. So I get to do a do-over with the pageant, the calling, that purpose that, that the director saw in me and the people saw in me. And I have only a few months to just reprove myself that, I really was chosen for the right reason, relationshipically, A do-over. I would love a do-over, y'all. If y'all ain't got no brothers, cousins, Baba Mnganis, just, I'm not desperate or anything, but a girl is out here. But no, just the kind of do-over, and of course grieve, because it has been an insane 2 quarters of 2024. Has been nuts, has been brutal. Won't get into it now. Not ready. Might be, but not really. So that's what the do-over is for. I'm giving myself a do-over. A do-over on YouTube. A do-over on TikTok. Just another chance. So I'm hoping to I don't even want to use the word consistent, because I struggle with that, because when I watch this video back and then I see myself making a promise of being consistent, and then that little voice just comes back and is like, when have you ever? What do you know about consistency? When? And so we're just focusing on the do-over for now. We're just focusing on the do-over. So this is just me opening up to myself and then sharing it with y'all. So how we're gonna do this is gonna be so exciting. I've got these little buckets behind me. Which one is this one? So I have this little bucket. One thing about me that God needs to help me with, I will buy little useless things. When I bought these buckets, there was no specific function. I just saw them and they were like R2.99 or whatever, and I just bought them. It's a cute little bucket. there's plenty more. I bought like 4, I don't know why. Anyway, so in these buckets are these little sticks, and in fact on each of these little sticks is a little topic. Because one thing that I noticed about content creation, especially personalized, authentic content creation, it's very, very hard. For me specifically, it was hard to kind of come up with a topic and just kind of sit and talk about it and break it down and whatever. And because I'm an overthinker, I struggled to just say, let me just take a camera. I have an artist who happens to be my inspiration. His name is Penson Mlochwa. If you follow him, follow me also, if you get my name. Hey! And he, for the longest time, would always just say, let's just record. And that, I could never compute that, because I'm like, no, we need lights, we need a camera, we need a microphone, we need a studio, we need chairs, we need flowers, and he was just like, why don't we just record and then we'll just see where that goes. And I could never work past that. And he got me to do so much content, and we pushed, but I realized that, over time when I was by myself, if I wanted to do content by myself, I always would overthink it. Before I got the tripod, I would never just take the camera as it is or just use my phone. I just never thought about it that way. I just thought, nope, I need a camera, I need a tripod, there's these 2 lights that I saw, and there's this microphone, and there's this and there's this. Just this today, I was planning, I needed, so I've been trying to buy mic stands, and for the longest time I always forget. And I almost didn't do this. As you can see, it's probably noticeable that it's the evening. I went out and I was supposed to buy a mic stand because I wanted the mic to stand here and I wanted to be nice and comfortable. And I almost, when I didn't get the mic stands where I went to go look for them, I was so discouraged. I just went back to square one. I'm like, oh, since I didn't find the mic stands, I guess I have to just wait till I find mic stands to create this content. And I thought, no, I'm just gonna hold this mic and just exchange my hands as my hands get tired, but my hands are not even getting tired. But I'm just saying that I struggle because I overthink content so much. So I just thought, let me just find a way to kind of have it. So I came up with obviously a whole content strategy about the Do Over Diaries, and it's not necessarily a strategy, but really just me journaling, just the journey of just how I feel. Like, I think at different points I would just journal, even if it wasn't like many pages. I've got like 10 journals in this house, and on each journal sometimes I would write on this one or that one or the other one. And at some different points in life I would have a moment and then just jot that down. When it's my birthday, I did that. When you do a post, you do this. When you do content for this, you do that. And every now and then you get on the mic and say something interesting and whatever. But I struggle to put it together so that I can at least know. So I thought, what better way? So I took these little sticks, and if you see onto them, there's different things written on it. Yeah, so every day, or not every day, every time I record content for the Do Over Diaries, I will pull one out, and that will be what I'll be talking about. So it's pretty much my journey. You can tell you, I got issues, okay? I got issues that just need money. I'm joking, but I'm not joking. I really do need money, but I figured these are all the things that I struggle with, and if just every day I tackle one at a time, I'll be helping me, and I'll maybe just helping just one other person. So it's going to be exciting. I'm thinking to do one now, and then maybe that will be the part 2 of this video. Yeah, I'm excited. I might just do one. So thank you for joining. And then every time when I get a suggestion for a new one, what I say about useless things. Got the purple, got the yellow, got the green, somewhere in the house. Anyway, these ones are empty. There's the marker right there. So whenever I get another suggestion of what to talk about, or if I think about something while I'm talking, to try and not like get too distracted or like lose track of what I'm talking about, I'll write it down in here, and then I'll transfer it to the other bucket, and then we'll talk about it on a different day. So yeah, welcome to the Do Over Diaries. I'm gonna thank me for being patient with me, and I am just telling myself just a note to myself to just hang in there and to just push through and really see it through and really see it through, because it will be worth it. It's not just to help me, like I said, if it just helps even one other person. Welcome to the Do Over Diaries. Bye.